Hey friends, so I want to talk about some big changes that are coming regarding US visa policy and travel into the US. Specifically, if you are looking to come here to work, to study, or even immigrate to the United States in 2026. Okay, so this update that I'm going to provide could directly affect your plan. So I know everyone's been hearing about the US travel ban that has been expanded and also revised. And I want to just talk about some of the things that you need to know. So, President Trump, he issued a new travel ban proclamation that will take effect on January 1st, 2026. And this updated proclamation expands and revises the travel restrictions that were already in effect in June of 2025. There was already a travel ban that was instituted in place back in June. So this is a revision to that. So let's talk about what has changed. So the travel ban now applies to 39 countries, including full and partial restrictions. And it also includes travelers who are using Palestinian Authority issued travel documents. All countries from the earlier June 2025 ban remain restricted, with some seeing expanded or increased restrictions. Unlike before, the new ban removes some of the exceptions that we've previously seen regarding certain categories. For example, there were exceptions for immediate relatives and adoption visas. That exception has now been removed. So nationals from the following countries will be fully barred from receiving both immigrant and non-immigrant visas unless an exception applies. So we have Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, and newly added countries. We have Burkina Faso, Laos, Mali, Niger, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, Syria. And again, plus any travelers who are traveling with Palestinian Authority travel documents. Now, for citizens from these countries, the countries I'm going to list, they have a partial ban. Immigrant visas are currently suspended, and non-immigrant visas in categories such as the B tourist visas, F student visas, and vocational visas, and J exchange visitor visas. These are all suspended temporarily for now. Angola, Antigua and Barbuda, Benin, Burundi, Cote d'Ivoire, Cuba, Dominica, Gabon, Gambia, Malawi, Mauritania, Nigeria, Senegal, Tanzania, Togo, Tonga, Venezuela, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So these countries are seeing a partial travel ban, and this includes those that are applying for an immigrant visa, meaning if you have a spouse or a parent or a child who's filing a green card for you. Unfortunately, these countries that are on the partial travel ban list are now impacted for immigrant visas as well. So some important things you need to note with regards to this travel ban is that if you are inside the US on January 1st, 2026, the travel ban generally will not apply to you. If you hold a valid visa of any kind on January 1st, 2026, your visa will not be revoked because of this travel ban. So it's talking about visas that will be issued in the future, not visas that are currently in effect. However, if you do have a visa, you want to keep in mind that you could face some enhanced screening at a port of entry. So just keep that in mind. So let's talk about who is exempt from the ban. So there are certain people who are allowed to enter despite the ban, right? So the proclamation mentions that U.S. lawful permanent residents, green card holders, are not affected with the ban. So if you come from a country that's on the list like Nigeria or South Sudan or Burkina Faso, you are not affected if you are a U.S. lawful permanent resident. So if you have a green card, you're okay. Dual nationals that are entering on a passport from a non-restricted country. So if you are a dual national from another country and you're using that passport, you will not be affected. Certain diplomats and official visitors are not affected. Athletes and teams that are attending major events, particularly the World Cup, which we know is going to be happening in the United States in 2026, so they will not be impacted. And then people traveling in the U.S. That with the national interest, right? So of course the U.S. we're also always going to be looking out for our national interest. So those individuals will not be impacted. refugees and asylees that are already admitted or eligible for relief will also not be impacted by this ban. So what you should know. So if you or your loved ones are outside of the U.S. And you're planning to travel, you want to come up with a plan now. You want to act now, come up with a strategy. You want to consider traveling before January 1st, 2026, if it's possible. You want to seek urgent legal advice if you're applying for a visa in 2026 or if you have a pending case. You want to talk to a lawyer and see what you can do, see if there's a strategy that can be put in place to help you prepare for this. And then existing visas are very valuable. So you'd want to make sure that you are always in compliance because you don't want to lose your visa, the visa that you do have now. So if you're unsure whether or not this ban applies to you or your family, you can reach out to me. We can talk. We can come up with a strategy as to how you can navigate during this new travel ban. So now I want to go over some questions that people might have regarding this ban and kind of just answer those questions. One of the questions that I know that will come up is, what if I'm already in the U.S. on January 1st, 2026? So if you're physically in the U.S. that day, the ban generally will not affect you and you should still be able to apply for a visa later, right? As from what we know. The next question is, my spouse or child is abroad, can they still get a visa? So unfortunately, if they're from a banned or partially banned restricted country and they don't already have a valid visa, they are likely going to be barred from obtaining a new visa unless they qualify under one of the rare exceptions that I listed before. Now, I know a lot of people are concerned about the green card holders, and in fact, as I mentioned before, green card holders who are lawful permanent residents are not going to be affected. It is expressly stated in the proclamation that they are exempt from the travel ban. Now, what about students and exchange visitors? So students from partially banned countries will not be issued new F1, M1, or J1 visas after January 1st, 2026, unless they, again, fall under one of those exceptions. A big question I think that will come up is, does this affect adjustment of status inside the U.S.? Now, the travel ban itself specifically targets visa issuance abroad. So adjustment of status remains governed by USCIS and is governed by USCIS policy. So even though there are reports that processing holds on certain applications that are associated with banned nationalities is happening, this doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to go through adjustment of status. We're still learning about how this is going to be affecting those in the U.S. But as of now, adjustment of status is not included in this travel ban. This is simply targeting visa issuance for those who are outside of the country. Again, so if you have any questions about this travel ban or if you have a general immigration question, you can reach out to me and we can schedule a strategy call. When you're dealing with immigration in 2025 and 2026, it is important for you to have a strong and very, very ironclad strategy. You do not want to go into immigration processes without speaking with an experienced immigration attorney, because you can find yourself in, a lot of hot water, confused, and a very complex situation. So I'm happy to set up and schedule a paid consultation with you to go over a strategy that's unique to your particular case so that you know how to handle your immigration matter and you'll be able to prepare a strong petition for yourself or your family. I look forward to talking to you. Take care.